How does the branding of your assisted living home impact your rankings on Google? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Eric Stanio from Marketplace Earth, where we are all about helping brands grow. And interestingly enough, the topic of today's conversation is going to be branding. Specifically, how does your brand impact the way you rank on Google for, now this can be applied to any small business, but specifically we're looking at in this series, your residential assisted living home and how to market your assisted living business effectively online. Now in a previous video, here's a quick look at who we are, by the way. But in a previous video, which we'll link to up here above, we kind of went through an overview of a holistic online marketing strategy. How can you save money long term, create a cost-effective strategy that's right for you and right for your business, where you're not having to pay placing agencies for every single lead and every single resident that you get in your home. Now again, some of these tools and topics in this video series can apply to multiple industries. Specifically, we're looking at residential assisted living through this series. So let's talk about branding. Now, obviously, branding is an enormous topic. It's a huge topic, and we could do a whole video series on just this topic alone, but we want to kind of dig in and say, well, what are the things that actually impact your rankings online? That's what we really want to look at. But when you're talking about branding, you have to start with what's important to you. What are you passionate about? Because you can't talk about brand and you can't start creating a brand and operating your business without realizing, what do you care about? What are you passionate about? Specifically, when you're talking about assisted living and you're thinking about doing this business or you're doing this business already, obviously, you have to have a real heart for these people. It can't just simply be a real estate opportunity, because this is a business that if you're going to succeed long term, you have to have a strong brand. And a lot of that strong brand means you need to be passionate about caring for people. I know as I've looked at this business for myself, I've had to ask myself that question time and time again. Do I really care about giving good quality, high quality care to these seniors? So out of that, we're just saying, just kind of briefly here, I mean, this is not the whole subject of this video, but you want to craft a mission statement, and it's going to want to represent an ideal. It's going to need to be inspiring and appealing to other people. It needs to provide a clear guide, and it needs to be easily explained. So I would recommend, if you haven't taken the time to do that for your business, stop, ask yourself, what is kind of the core, the foundation of this brand? What are we about? What do we really care deeply about? What are we going to go to battle over? And start there, because that is going to whatever you kind of land on there, that's going to make its way out through the way you give care to people, and it's going to make its way out in the way you set up your home and how you do your online marketing. So let's talk about online marketing, and let's talk about branding. And really, what it boils down to is trust. And specifically in the assisted living market, we've got the grandma, and the question is, can she trust you? Or maybe more importantly, can her children trust you to take good care of her or him? And that's when you're talking about your online presence, we want to consistently go back to this idea of trust. So just think about that continually. So what does that mean in terms of your online presence? Well, we're talking about your logo. We're talking about your web design. We're talking about your website itself and how it's set up. We're talking about the content that you produce on an ongoing basis. So let's kind of work our way through some of these things. First of all, I would say that you have to know your target audience. Yes, I think the mistake a lot of people might make is they're going only for grandma in terms of the marketing, but grandma's not the one who's doing all the searching online. Remember, if you've gone through Jean Gorino's class, the Residential Assisted Living Academy, you know your real target audience are the children who are placing mom or dad in your home. So, but you still want to have that kind of warm, bright, inviting, large font, smiles, and we're going to show you a few examples here. about some websites that are really good and some websites that are not doing so good in terms of branding in this particular space. Now, as I've worked with a few different clients in this space, they've kind of been like, well, can't I just, we got to create a logo, so can't we just, pay $5 and get a logo? And my answer to that is, yes, you can use, there's a lot of services that make design and website creation better, but you can kind of tell this level of quality too. So I would say if you're going to use a place like Fiverr, maybe get some ideas, but I would recommend working with someone locally or a designer that you trust or someone refers to you to kind of hone it and make it a little bit more professional looking. It's hard. You can get that on Fiverr, but it can be difficult sometimes. You don't want it to look super cheesy. You want the professionalism to come across in your logo. In terms of your website, we're talking about clean, user-friendly, easy navigation, clear calls to action. There's lots of great templates out there, so it's easier than ever to build a website like this. But as I show you the examples, you'll see like this is what you don't want to do. This is kind of what you want to steer more towards. We're going to talk about this a little bit in the next video too, in terms of the website itself being responsive. It has to be mobile friendly. You want to use high quality photos and videos. You want to make a good first impression. So when you're talking about branding online and you're talking about trying to earn trust, when somebody lands on your website for the first time, are you making a good first impression? Do they land there and say, oh, this looks like a place I would be comfortable staying in, or I would be comfortable putting my loved one or my parent in? Make a good first impression. So I want to take a quick look here at Brookdale, which of course, as we know, Brookdale is the kind of the opposite of residential assisted living, right? This is the big institution. But I will say about Brookdale, from an SEO standpoint, in terms of ranking in Google, they are crushing it. They're dominating the space. Every city almost where Brookdale's in, they're ranking right at the top in both traditional SEO and local SEO on the map. Why is that? Well, they are a giant brand, and they do have a ton of resources that are not available, for sole proprietors of residential assisted living homes a lot of times. But let's try to glean some of their best practices here. Let's look at some of the things they're doing, because while you might not be able to put the kind of investment into your brand that Brookdale has, you can take some of their best practices and say, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what do we see here on their first page? We see large image, bright smiles, everything we talked about before. We see a nice, clean website, clean logo here. It's not like the craziest thing in the world, but you see the little growth design, nice font, clear phone number here. As you scroll down, everything's large. It's easy to read. Here comes a nice video that looks kind of cool. It's spaced well out on the site. Again, larger font, good color scheme that all works together in terms of the design. Here's another video, where to begin. And it's just kind of coaching me through. We talked about responsive and mobile friendly. So, if I do this, everything reacts nicely. So, this is going to look good on a mobile phone as well. So Brookdale, this is just their one page, but they do this for all their locations. I want to look at some of the other things they do really well, and one of that is their content. They consistently are putting out really good content, and they've got different methods of creating that. They have resident blogs, they have kind of all these different categories of how they're creating, but their blog is constantly updated. December 7th, December 5th, December 3rd, December 2nd, November 30th. Again, if you are a smaller operation, it's a little hard to maybe pull that off of like every day or every other day if you're getting a blog post out there. But the point is, building a brand online is certainly a big part of that, is putting out consistent content. And you're proving to Google, look, we're real, we're a brand, we're consistent, you can count on us, we're putting out the content every day. I'm not looking at necessarily their social channels here apart from YouTube. So same thing, not only do they put out good blog content, but they're consistently putting out good video content as well. This isn't showing right now, but they've got different playlists here, uploads, popular uploads. If you go into their playlist, they have some different ideas that they've done. Video is such a powerful way to earn trust. And one of our clients, who I think has done an amazing job at this, on their landing page. So this is a residential assisted living home. One of our clients in Salt Lake City, and they did a fantastic job with their video. Okay, and it's not showing either. So their video is not showing up right now. I'm having Chrome issues, but they did an awesome job with their video. When you land on this page, it feels warm, it feels inviting. They've done a great job with their brand. Now I want to compare that a little bit to a few other websites that these, you may have seen something out there that looks familiar to like this. Now this, I was going through Phoenix Assisted Living Homes, and I was going deep into the rankings because that's where these websites exist, is on page 7, 8, 9. And this, I don't want to bash any particular business here, and this may or may not be assisted living, though I did an assisted living search. But you've seen this kind of site, this site that feels like it's from 2008 or 7 or 5 or 3 and just hasn't been updated in a while. Now, it's warm and it's inviting, but it's the design kind of gets smushed in here. You just get the feel for it, right? It doesn't feel necessarily up to date. Now, here's one that's even a little further on. There's just nothing here. There's no content here. There's no logo. There's no design. It's a 5-bed assisted living home, and who's going to contact this place? It's, there's 3 little images. There's no content. I don't feel any trust when I land on this website. And then there's this other one right here that's kind of a little bit in the middle. They've got a pretty nice photo here. They've got decent navigation. They've got a tagline. And they've got kind of a clear call to action down here. The only thing I would say is it's starting to feel a little bit dated. Though, even though I'm seeing something personal here, this one's kind of in between. I would say it's not great because we've all seen a lot of websites that feel more current, and this one feels a little dated. But it's kind of in between the ones we've seen. The bottom line is you're looking to build a website to gain people's trust, and there are a lot of good ways to do that today, and you could do better than some of these that we've looked at. So now, why does this matter? Let's take a look at what does Google look at when they're considering your brand. Does it mean you're going to rank higher if you have better design? Does it mean you're going to rank higher if you have more brand equity? So I mentioned in a previous video that Google ranks the best brands. Well, I want to clarify that a little bit. And if you want to read more on this, I'm going to put this link here that kind of goes into more detail from a Moz Whiteboard Friday video. And the question is, can Google actually measure, does Coca-Cola have more brand equity than Pepsi or 7-Up or any other cola brand or RC Cola? And because they know what people like in terms of brands more, they're able to rank one higher than the other when someone searches for a soda? Not necessarily, but there are a lot of correlations when you do have a strong brand that tend to help you rank higher on Google's search page. Let me try to break that down. So let's look at links, for example. In the past, in the world of SEO, is get all the links you can. The more links, the better. Well, Google put the clamp down on that. They don't want to see more links. They want to see better links. And what does a better link mean? It means if you're putting out good content and someone decides, I really like this content, I'm going to link to it from my website, or I'm going to share it socially. Now, if you're not going out there and trying to get all these links on these different sites, but you're actually earning links through making really good content, Google loves that. And now when you think through that, if there's a brand that has a little bit more equity in someone's mind than one that's newer or doesn't have any brand equity, people are going to be more likely to share or link to a site. They're like, oh, I love this site. I love this brand. I'm going to share it, or I'm going to link to it. And that kind of puts you in a cycle of earning links over time, better links that you've earned. And you can see if you're doing that, you're getting better links and you're going to be ranking higher. Same thing happens with these other factors. Google looks at usage data now. They look at user experience on the site. They look at click-through rates. Do people click on you from the search page? How long do they stay on your site? How quickly do they bounce off? So if Google can't necessarily say, oh, your design is better than the other person's, but if someone hits, let's say that that one website we saw with poor design and they quickly bounce off of it because they're like, oh, I don't trust that. Well, Google they can't necessarily see the design, but they can see, oh, people stay on your site for a half a second before they bounce versus, well, people stay on average on this site for 3 minutes because they watch a video and they read through the content. So there are other social signals like that Google can pick up. So someone may say, I like this brand. As I mentioned, they're more likely to share. So a quote from this Whiteboard Friday is, the better your brand performs as a brand, the higher it tends to perform in the rankings of Google's search engine. So it's not necessarily that Google has, again, a part of their algorithm that says higher brand, you're ranking higher, but there are correlations that work together. So work on your online presence, work on your branding. And the other thing I want to say here is brand is obviously way more than only your web presence, right? It's not just your logo and your design and your content and your videos, blah, blah, blah. That stuff's important. But obviously your brand extends offline as well. So the design of your home itself, how it looks, the furniture, what location of town is it in, the level of care that you give to your residents, the customer service you give to their children and everyone you're working with, the way you treat your employees, the reviews that you get both online and offline, the word of mouth. All of these things build up your overall reputation and brand. And that's why I started this video with saying, do you really care about people? What is it at your core that you truly believe in? Because eventually that's going to make its way out, and your brand is going to be built based on how passionate you are and what kind of a level of quality service you're going to give in this space. So it's really interesting when you think about it that Google, they rank, when I said in the previous video, they rank the best brands, it's because over time, the reviews you get, the way people digest your content, share your content, all of these things that are kind of indicators of your offline brand, they make their way online. And Google's able to rank businesses accordingly. That's why you see Brookdale, along with their strategy and how they're building content and paying for things, but they have built steadily invested into their brand, and that shows up online, and there's a reason why they rank all the time. Now you can get under them, like you can compete with that, but you've got to be committed to creating a quality brand and helping that translate online. So what are some offline branding ideas you can do and leverage them online? Well, again, we could create a whole video on this, but just some real quick ideas before we wrap up this video. Create stories and share them. Do things offline in a way that is an engaging story to people, and then figure out how to leverage them online. So what are some things you can do? Well, Gene has a great idea for people, which is do a ribbon cutting ceremony for your service. Invite the local papers, invite the local placing agents, invite the people from the hospitals, and make an event out of it, right? Host a race for awareness. Create local partnerships with people who are like-minded or whose services are complementary to yours. Do giveaways. Help people in your community. If there's people who can't, maybe they're not residents of yours, but if you have seniors who, you do Meals for Wheels, or, this kind of idea where you're delivering groceries or shoveling driveways, and just serve the community. That kind of stuff, that's becoming, I'm sure you guys can be way more creative than me. If you're watching this video, if you've hung in this long, share some other ideas of how you could build your brand offline and have that translate to online. But do those things. You don't have to brag about it, but if a local newspaper happens to hear about the story, or a local, TV station, that kind of stuff is gold for building your brand, and that gives you more trust, right? Because people are saying they're out there doing it and they're helping people, and that's someone I care about. And eventually, if you're helping people, if you're giving quality care, and if people trust you, that trust is going to translate over to your online rankings and to how you're ranking in Google as well. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Again, this is kind of the first video in a series of how to help you market your assisted living home online. If you're interested, go to marketplaceearth.com or email me directly at es@marketplaceearth.com. I would love to talk to you about helping you in your SEO strategy, your branding, AdWords, anything that you need help with to market your property and get residents in there and fill those beds and create a strategy that's going to work well for you in the long term. So until next time, and please subscribe, thumbs up this video if you like it. Love to see subscribers on this channel. But go out there, do good, and do well. Thanks a lot.